Try, I can't hear you at all. So try the mic settings, perhaps have a bit of a look at that. And yeah, so interestingly, just a little side note, as I said, 300 million new users to Zoom in the last couple of months. And I've been using Zoom since 2012 when I was doing life health coaching online. And I can tell you, it was a very stable platform for nearly that entire time. And the most challenges I've had with Zoom have been literally in the last month, where exactly these problems are happening. People can't join, people's microphones and speakers aren't working when they normally do. And people that are proficient at using this software are really having a lot of challenges. So I know I'm very sorry for that. Let's try again, Jost. Let's unmute you. Let's do a sound check.
So can you hear me now?
No, I still can't hear you. Sorry there, mate. I had exactly this problem on a call yesterday where I joined someone else's Zoom and they could hear me. I could hear them, but they could hear me, but I couldn't hear them. So, so what? Did I just see? I can hear Jost? Holy cow, that is totally weird. So some people can hear you, Jost. Let's try again.
Okay.
Sound check. Check 1, check 2.
Was it?
Yeah, all right, we got you. That is so weird. The volume was way down. I had to turn you right up, like really maxed out. Okay, well, I've done your intro, and I am think this is a really really good topic at the moment, because a lot of people are going through ups and downs with this crazy time we're in, and so first, welcome to the call, Jost. How you going?
Welcome. Great to have you. Welcome to talk about this uplifting issue of topic of depression. Yeah.
It's uplifting if we have some solutions, right? And I've always said the first step in solving any problem is being aware of the problem. And depression is one of those challenges in society, particularly amongst men, that we don't want to talk about it. You know, it's not well talked about it. People feel ashamed, and they already feel depressed. They already feel down. They don't want to like bring other people down, or they don't want to be a burden. And so I think depression is actually a really good topic to talk about, particularly in the current crisis. So
yes, before I want to get into this, because obviously in my 30 years working with this, I have a lot of experiences with this topic, with this issue. But the most important thing, obviously, what I want to say first is that I actually deal with a lot of depression myself in the early days. I mean, for me, it was obviously substance connected, because I took a lot of drugs in the old days. And when I stopped, I was thrown into massive depression. And I had to look at all kinds of options in order to deal with this effectively. And because Western medicine didn't really have much to offer. But I already was working in those days for the family services as a social worker. So we had lots of access to all kinds of resources in order how to deal with depression. But primarily what was going on, it was chemically induced. So it was an approach, I'm talking back in the 80s, when selective serotonin inhibitors, the SSRI, when they became popular. So the only solution to dealing with depression in those days was actually using chemicals. And chemicals is obviously, it may be a good way in order to get the initial movement happening, but it doesn't actually heal the situation. When I got into Chinese medicine 30 years ago, when I started working as an acupuncturist, I looked into depression from all different angles. And I realized that there is actually a natural solution to the whole situation. And I engaged with that immediately, personally myself, and I had tremendous results. Then I started working with all the other clients who presented with depression, and all of them, once again, started to report tremendous results. So when I specialized on drug addiction, depression was like the major presenting symptom. And once again, I applied the Chinese medicine principle on it, and once again, with great results. So Chinese medicine has much to offer in terms of depression. And because in particular, as depression is lifestyle affiliated, So if we understand how to work with this effectively from a lifestyle perspective, we can actually start treating it. Yeah. So so basically the situation. Can you hear me, Justin?
Yeah, yep, I can hear you great. Thank you.
All right, okay. Because the screen seems to your screen seems to dropping off all the time.
Yeah, it's pretty bizarre. We've had people on we are Facebook Living now, and some people on the Facebook Live have said that the link's not working. And so our deepest apologies. I've never had these problems with Zoom before, but weird things are happening. But
maybe Zoom needs to go on medication for a while.
I think Zoom is like highly strung out and stressed out because, yeah, with 300 million new users to Zoom, yeah, I think the infrastructure may be struggling a little bit.
Yeah, they are overworked, and that's actually one of the issues. What is actually in Chinese medicine is it actually one of the reasons why we do cause depression when the system is overloaded.
Yeah.
But before I get into these exactly from a lifestyle perspective, we also need to address that depression can be clinically. That means it's induced by something that no one really knows exactly what it is, but that means the person seems to be born with that. And then the other depression is where it's induced by lifestyle. So in most cases, depression is caused by lifestyle. Unfortunately, in the Western world, it's put all under the same umbrella, and they call it clinical depression. Whereas in Chinese medicine, depression is an indicator. If the lifestyle issue is involved, it's basically an indicator, a marker that tells you you've got to look at your body. There needs to be something to be looked at. And when everything is in perfect balance, yin and yang are in balance, we are in a perfect state of harmony. As soon as yin and yang start becoming imbalanced, it is then when depression or symptoms appear. And depression is one of the first symptoms that appears that in order to bring it back again. So in Chinese medicine, depression is in fact essential.
Yeah, it's a part of the balancing.
It's actually the body telling you, hang on, I need to return to center. I need to return to center. Yeah. And if I return to center, I then will be able to rejuvenate the system and it will refresh itself again. Then I've got the spirit and the energy to engage with life effectively again. Mm-hmm. So it's basically, depression is, in that case, is like the body wants us to slow down in order to rejuvenate the system. So
I think that's a really good point you've got there. I think a lot of people tend to get really self-judgmental or judgmental on other people, and particularly the media is about a lot of conditions, and they see it as a bad thing rather than as a process of rebalancing. And I've often said to people that, you know, yeah, I've suffered for 20 years, but it was me changing my perspective that the symptoms of disease were simply messages that my body was trying to communicate to me that I needed to recalibrate, I needed to realign. And I love that you talk you've got this great approach on that, this great philosophy, which is the TCM, the Taoist approach, that nothing's, you know, right or wrong or judgmental is bad. It's just that it is what it is. And to shift that, we need to either shift the energy or replace it with something else. It's, you know, as you said, depression is essential. And if we take the label off it as a negative judgment and work with it, that is an uplifting thing. That's an empowerment for people to take control of their health.
Okay, in Chinese medicine, depression is regulated by the stomach. So when people say depression is in the mind, that's actually incorrect. So most people, when they talk about depression, they think it's an issue of the mind in mental health, but it's actually health of the stomach. So as a lot of findings lately in biology have discovered that most of the neurotransmitter development is actually in the gut.
Yeah, isn't it 80% of serotonin is made in the gut?
So most of the serotonin development is actually in the gut. So it's over 50% of your neurotransmitter development is in the stomach, in the gut. In Chinese medicine, serotonin development, if we would use it in Chinese terms, which you don't, we call it Ha Qi. What is actually essential here in order to feel happy is that the stomach functions effectively. If the stomach is not working effectively, it can't produce what we would call serotonin in Western medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So stomach qi is actually responsible for this development of that substance that makes you feel good, which is related to the heart qi.
Mm-hmm.
So from that perspective, the serotonin development is actually in the heart, but it's also regulated by the small intestine. And so we have got an incredible important connection here, which is stomach, heart, small intestine. So these three organs are the main organs that are affected by a wrong lifestyle. As soon as we're living incorrectly, the organ that suffers first is stomach. We get a bad feeling in the stomach. That's how it usually starts. I'm feeling a bit weird.
Mm-hmm.
Before you start feeling, before any illness begins, you always get a squeezy feel in the stomach. So before depression starts, you usually get some kind of digestive disorder first. It starts maybe as diarrhea, it starts as bloating, it starts as food is not getting through proper. So the fact that your digestive tract is suddenly impaired means the substance that is responsible for feeling good can't be produced.
Yeah.
Yes. So when this substance to make you feel good, in order to be produced, it will be taken to the heart. And the heart then produces blood, which then, via the small intestine connection, then generates as what we call serotonin.
Mm-hmm.
And so that means all wellness goes through the stomach. All happiness goes through the stomach. That's why we love sitting down, having a gorgeous lunch, meeting some friends, have some wine, because we feel happy.
Yeah.
Yes. If you have a great meal and great friends, you can't suddenly say, I feel very depressed. It quite doesn't make sense. Yeah, because when you sit around and having good food, good wine, good company, it uplifts you. And this is one of the reasons why depression can lead to obesity, because when we feel bad and depressed, what do we want to do? We want to go to the stomach. We want to put the food in that we perceive intuitively as being the builder of that substance that leads to the generation of serotonin, which is obviously falsely translated in our conscious mind as sugar and carbs.
Yeah.
Yes. Sugar and carbs obviously immediately cause some kind of like energy flow from the stomach to the heart to the small intestine, which makes you feel good. So it overrides the moment of depression. But because the food is not doing anything in order to generate heart qi, then obviously this experience of feeling good is only short-lived. And then we need another packet of Tim Tam and another packet of cream buns, and then maybe have a bottle of red wine. And so in no time, the body gets very heavy and quite big.
Yeah, we've destroyed that natural lifestyle.
Yes.
That cycle of
the system is overloaded, and now it can't actually produce the qi responsible for generating these serotonin pathways. Yeah. So now we're getting a lot of other problems. Yeah. So that means now we're actually on the downward spiral towards depression.
Yeah.
So the first thing we need to understand is that depression is actually born in the stomach. That is rule number one. So it's not made in the mind. What happens when people feel depressed? They either go into overeating or they don't eat at all.
Yeah, true.
Yes. So they don't eat at all. I can't be bothered. Now we don't even open up to meet other people. Making contact with people, as I talked about in one of those seminars before, why the heartburn, pericardium aid. By making contact with people, we actually generate that flow from stomach to heart to small intestine, which also generates these serotonin pathways. Yes. So they also feel good factors. So what happens is, as we start getting depressed, we're cutting off from other people. Now that stimulus is also reduced. At the same time, we either don't eat at all or we eat the wrong foods.
Yep.
So as a result of that is even less chi is generated that is responsible for the serotonin production. Now the mood is even going a level lower. We feel even further low. Then after a while, it becomes a chronic condition. So now we feel depressed all the time. And so now we present as a doctor, and of course you've got a chemical imbalance, which is true because there's not enough serotonin generation via the stomach, heart, small intestine pattern. Yeah. And the result of that is people are given medication. So when it comes to medication, according to my observation, having worked with tens of thousands of people in that particular field of depression with antidepressants, it's an incredibly difficult job to get the right medication because you got so many different forms of chemicals. And when it comes to targeting this stomach, heart, small intestine pattern, you have to be very precise. The body is a very, very complex issue. It has got incredible complex pathways. And to get the right medication that now will enter these pathways in order to create a flow and therefore a stimulation in the generating of serotonin pathways, it's like you've got a pretty higher chance to win lotto than get the right medication. Yes? Yes? It's an enormous complex field. So with some people, they get the medication and it works immediately, or maybe 6 weeks later. Other people, medication don't work at all, and then they try something else. So you search and search and search. So that can actually take you further into the downward spiral. And the reason why people take medication is because being so low is not a good state of being. Because if you're that low, you don't do anything. You don't do anything about changing your life. You're becoming more and more pleasant about life, and eventually your life completely collapses. So that's why the acute interference with management via medication is essential for some people. Yes, however, there are natural ways of doing that. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's mind blowing. That's a great distinction for me, and I always seem to have one in every one of our conversations. That if you have a good meal with good company, you're never depressed after that. That is so cool. And again, that kind of really brings it back to our culture, right? Like having a good, healthy culture around when we eat, how we eat, who we eat with, quality of the food, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, that's like the stomach energy. This is where obviously everything is when it gets a bit tricky. The stomach energy is between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. is in the morning. And so breakfast is actually a crucial aspect for providing the foundation for this stomach, heart, small intestine pattern. Obviously not getting up and straight having breakfast. First of all, we need to detox the body. And we talked about it in all the other webinars before, over and over. You don't wake up to have breakfast. You always detox the body first. You do exercise, you do all kind of movements, trying to detox the body. First of all, you need to let go of the old, of the previous, of the junk of the day.
Get rid of excess yang too, you talked about?
Yeah, everything, yeah. So first of all, you got to start with a clean slate. However, it's the next stage is to actually have a warm breakfast. Yes, a warm breakfast, sitting down in peace and actually allowing yourself to be with you. That opens up the stomach pathway. And this is one thing that is very foreign to most Westerners.
Yeah, with the cereal and milk, or like, because when I first come across that concept where you talked about arriving for breakfast and having the porridge and having the warm, really easy to digest food, I was like paleo, and I was like, porridge? No way. But in that part of my life, I was really hard in my life. I was like, push, drive. And that was so good for me to take that approach of actually at 7 o'clock, arrive for breakfast, soften, get the chi to come down, have the soft kind of, warm food. And we absolutely love that now.
Yeah. I'm always trying to stress it doesn't really matter what time of the day you do this, as long as it's the second stage in your day, how you approach your day. Of course, the ideal would be like between 7 and 9, sometimes there for 20 minutes to sit down. But because of our lifestyle, some people have different commitments and engagements, but it's a rhythm. And in order to get the stomach, heart, small intestine pattern happening, we need rhythm. Yes. So rhythm is the key for serotonin generating development. So the stimulus in these feel-good hormones, we need rhythm. We need the routine. And what this essential process is after we have detoxed the body, is to actually let the stomach take on food. And the food has to be warm, and the food has to be while sitting in peace. And it has to be cooked, and it has to have protein in there. It needs to have seeds in there. It needs to have honey in there. It needs to have some spices in there, like cinnamon and turmeric and pepper and all kind of, and ginger, and a lot of good things have to be in there. And ideally, the breakfast always has to be prepared the night before, so you can soak it. And then when you do other things in the morning while you do your exercise, you put it on a low heat so it can simmer, and so you can cook slowly, say for half an hour, slowly. So you've got a real brew. It's like a really concoction of something that is magic. And then when you're ready to have your breakfast, the idea is now to sit down, have nice calm music on. That means no news, no newspaper, and no disruption, and then eat that in 20 minutes by yourself or with a loved one, and don't talk about business.
Yeah, don't be on Facebook on your phone.
Total mindfulness. Focus on getting the food into the stomach to sink in. What is responsible for the process that generates serotonin is the descending action of the stomach. The energy of the stomach descends, it moves downwards. And that's that sinking feel, it goes all the way down. So while we eat in mindfulness, having this warm, beautiful congee or porridge in front of us, we just sink deeply into our body. And that then promotes the stomach energy. And it then sinks deeply in. What happens now, it slowly will be moved up towards the heart by the body, not by your mind. The body will take it up. And then it will later produce all the feel-good chi. So this takes place for 20 minutes. And it can be anything, like as long as the food is nicely cooked. You can, for example, put an egg into the porridge, or you can put it doesn't really matter what you put in as long as it's cooked, because that allows the stomach energy to descend. So that is the most important thing in order to start this chain reaction that is responsible for this feel-good chi to be developed in named serotonin. So in reality, this looks different. And according to my research and according to the research that other people have done, it's about 95% of people rush breakfast or skip breakfast.
Yeah.
And if they have breakfast, it's done standing up while multitasking. Before I wrote my book, Perfect Day Plan and Clock On, when I was a lecturer at the college and I was supervising the student clinic, we were seeing a lot of patients. And I always had a questionnaire for the patients given to the students, practitioner, to ask the patients 5 questions. And question number 1 was, do you have breakfast? If yes, how? And everyone described the same pattern: multitasking, standing up, having a bowl of cereal.
Yeah.
A lot of people I've come across, the way they had their breakfast was eating the cereal while brushing teeth, while putting a sock on, all at the same time.
Yeah, it's crazy, eh? It's like, what a way to start the day to stress yourself out. And that used to be me.
It's amazing. It should be in the Guinness Book of Records, like the most acrobatic feast you can do.
Yeah.
So in the Western world, to have the breakfast in 3 minutes is the accepted norm, or to skip breakfast at all. One of the biggest problems is with intermittent fasting, what they tell everyone, skip breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the biggest core development for depression. The people will trigger those incredible diet advice will have depression later in life. Because it's intermittent fasting is a good idea, and we talk about it maybe at some other time, because it is a really complex issue.
Yeah.
If you live correctly, you will automatically have a 12-hour window of not eating, which is ideal. Yes.
Yeah.
So, but it's the important thing is to start the day after the detox, to go to the second stage, to let the stomach chi descend. And a lot of these intermittent fasting principles take the person straight into the yang mode. Go, 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 go. Engage with business. So this is where it gets critical. If you engage with business, if you move into the yang environment and stomach chi hasn't descended yet, you don't have the foundation for the heart chi to develop the feel-good hormones. And now you're leading to a next problem, is that you slowly and gradually over time burn out the body. You burn out the resources.
Yep.
A lot of people do the intermittent fasting in order to get instant results, but 10 years later they reap the results. And that means suddenly the system is exhausted. Because the next stage that is the cause for depression is the body is exhausted.
Yeah.
The body is exhausted. The bodily resources are exhausted. In order for the heart to develop this feel-good substance, which we call serotonin in the Western world, it needs to have a lot of storage chi. It needs to have the chi stored. It needs something to draw from. In order to feel good, you need to have something to draw from. Like if you have a Lamborghini in the garage and you got the key to start the engine and there's no petrol, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, it's got no substance.
Yeah, it's just a frame. It's an awesome looking car, but you can't enjoy it because there's no petrol in it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like a lot of people's bodies, right?
Yeah. So it's frustrating, yeah?
Yeah.
And so that's exactly the same situation with depression. The problem is that if there is no fuel in the body that the heart can convert into feel good,
yeah,
the body can't do it. So eventually you get depressed.
That's a really good point there. You talk about fuel, right? And many people at a very superficial level kind of think of fuel as carbs and sugar, right? Yes, it's energy, it's quick energy. But in TCM, fuel is so much more complicated. It goes so much deeper.
Carb and sugar.
Not even about the macronutrients of nutrition. It's actually about that converting to chi and energy and how you fill your body with chi. And that's what you're saying there. And I didn't realize how long-term that can be. You know, like if you're living at like the intermittent lifestyle, which I used to, intermittent fasting lifestyle, you know, I'd eat anywhere between 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then, so only eat in the afternoon sort of thing. I do know what you mean. You miss out on that yin building, that softening into the day, the arriving of the day. And it's very much a yang push hard kind of a lifestyle. And you're saying that accumulates over years.
Chronic depression, if it's in most cases, is because of that problem. That stomach chi can't descend, and therefore it can't produce the substance, the foundation for the heart to produce the feel-good hormones.
Yeah, yeah, because stomach is stomach spleen, right? Stomach is the yang organ of stomach.
Because what comes down to the one thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and we talked a lot about in the previous interviews around how spleen has got a lot to do with that yin building and that nurturing. And that's where anxiety comes from too, right? When the spleen's really, really low.
Yeah, I mean, the important is to start the day with warm meal. What you do in the evening, you can go in to have cold meal. The evening is different. Then it's different because you're entering a totally different organ time. It's a totally different energetics. I actually recommend everyone, like the cooked breakfast, the cooked lunch, but have a simple dinner, just some salad and a glass of wine and maybe some nice rye bread and some salad, some rocket salad. Yeah, so then it's different. In the evening, it's different. In the evening, we need more the cooling, but in the morning, we need the warming.
Yeah, so interesting. We got it totally around the other way in the Western world.
Yeah, we got the complete opposite problem. And as soon as like the results I have with my clients is tremendous. As soon as that sharp shifting, suddenly there's no need for depression. Of course, depression comes in as an indicator that I need to look at certain issues. But if I have a descending stomach chi that is responsible for producing feel-good chi, I then have the ability to immediately address the issue, move on, and I'm happy again.
Mm. Yeah. Very
So
cool.
that's obviously in the ideal life, when the depression hits, it's an indication I need to look at something. I go within. That's depression mean. I go within. I look at it. But because I've got lots of descended stomach chi that develop lots of heart chi, I got the ability to rebound immediately. I get it. I understand. That's what it's about. Boom, back on track. Bang, the yang hits, and I'm happy again.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
So that means I go inward for a while. Yes, I get the message. Bang, I'm back out in the world. Yes. Yeah? Because stomach chi means you also will be rebound back into life very, very quickly.
Yeah.
If stomach chi is deficient, you just can't rebound.
Yeah. A couple of things. One thing you said that, it starts with the gut. And when I've worked with chronic illness as well as any aging medicine, that all starts with the gut too. When I was in an integrated medical clinic, to me, that was the pinnacle of my sort of career of a holistic approach. We had a whole team of people. And what we would have is we would do 3 months of purely treating the gut and starting to get the detox channels opening as well. We wouldn't actually treat the disease that people come in for, but most of them, their symptoms were down to 50% after that 3 months of just getting the gut right and starting to detox properly.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, really cool. And also with that, I noticed like all the herbal formulas, even TCM and Western, any anti-aging stuff, it starts with detoxing too. So that morning cycle, that morning routine is just so important. And I love to watch children because I think intuitively, they're instinctually, they've got less conditioning and baggage, right? And our daughter, she's 3. She like breakfast is the meal she takes the longest. If she could, she'd take an hour every day. Where it's the fastest. Sorry.
Perfect. That's a good start.
Yeah, I know, but it's like sometimes we need to just reflect and hear this kind of perspective to see it for what it is. Because I never even realized that until today. Breakfast she takes ages for, and dinner she's done in no time.
Yeah, perfect. That means she's in the making of a master. Making of a master.
Hopefully, she's definitely thinking she's a boss baby. So, we've got a few questions if we can. So if we could, for a little bit, talk a bit about depression and how it relates with bipolar as well. So bipolar depression. What would your approach be for that?
Bipolar situation is where, so depression on the next level, of course it's heart, but it's also regulated by the kidney. So the heart and the kidney are responsible for this process that regulates depression, but also feeling inspired again. So when it comes to depression, and in particular in relation to bipolar, it's about stimulus versus withdrawal. Yeah. So too much stimulation leads to a collapse. Not enough stimulation leads to decline. So that's regulated by the kidney. So we need the stimulation in order for the heart to produce the heart chi. That's why we need contact with others. So the stimulation on heart is responsible for this process, so that we engage, which then leads to the development of serotonin. However, in order to make sure that we don't overstimulate ourselves, the kidneys control that process. And kidney and heart work in harmony together in this regard. So in the 5 element cycle, the heart is fire element, the kidney is water. So if the organ function is correct, what happens? You get stimulated, you feel inspired, you engage with this, then the kidney, the water, will control it and will take the fire down again to prevent burning out. If the kidney is deficient, that means the water is not able to control the fire. Now the fire gets out of control. Now that means a person goes into the hyper mode and goes and does too much things. So what happens now? It burns out the fuel and then it crashes. So now it crashes and now you got the depression. So you move between a manic situation and a depression. So you either go endlessly shopping for 2 days in a row without sleep, or you can't get out of the house for a whole week. So it's basically far too much fire in the heart, burns itself out. Now I need to depress. Yes. So in Chinese medicine, once again, we regulate that with the stomach.
The regular meals,
Yeah.
regular lifestyle.
Stomach descending function. So the stomach is responsible. That's where the core of that communication between heart and kidney, or fire and water, takes place. So what we do with bipolar is to for the person to develop the skill of a regular lifestyle routine.
Yeah.
That's a
routine, being consistent, right?
Routine. Bipolar and routine don't go hand in hand.
Yeah.
But routine will correct bipolar.
So one way that would be really nice to support bipolar is to have pretty strict structure in your life. So having your meals at the same time, and even if that means like meeting with different groups, or having like a 9-to-5 job, that creates structure. Things like that create structure to support you to eat at the right time, and be consistent. Yeah.
But the energetic structure needs to be in place. That's crucial.
Yeah.
And that means it's 3 meals a day, like 12-hour window eating. And in the bipolar situation, in the hyper state, people don't eat. In the depression state, they can't be bothered, or they overeat.
Yeah.
Which then leads to guilt feeling, and then suddenly goes into the hyper mode when they don't eat at all. So it's just like it's extreme from one to the next.
Yeah.
And the extreme is exactly where yin and yang don't want to be. They want to be in the middle. Yeah. So the first thing, obviously, what we're going to do with bipolar is we're actually working with lots of herbs that work on stomach and spleen and lung patterns in order to open up the path to the heart. And then we work with kidney herbs in order to regulate the water, to control the fire.
Okay.
It doesn't take long before the system starts putting itself in place. The healing, because I've seen so many extreme situations in my time, and I'm always glad that I've experienced those, that I've observed those extreme situations, because in those extreme situations, I have seen what works and what doesn't work. If you deal with an extreme situation and you see results in a very short span, you know that whatever has been applied works. Yeah. Yeah. And in moderate cases, anything can work. But in the extreme situation, if you get results, it's because of some things that's profound. Yeah. And so with all the bipolar situations we deal with in the context of the therapy, within 3 months, the system can actually complete balance itself. But you've got to really focus on getting the balance right. The person has to understand it's got to be a routine. It's got to be eating when you don't feel like. It has to be doing a lot of things you don't feel like doing. And then eventually the body is actually returning to its original state. What I've seen in here is that the body is capable of feeling everything.
Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah, certainly I've seen things healed that they were not in the textbooks. I never got taught that was possible.
Why? It's just the situations I've seen, like with arthritis and that's another area I can talk for ages on, is arthritis. The incredible bone reforming and the power of the body to heal itself is just mind-boggling. If you know what to do. That's what it's all about, if you know what to do. Yeah. And when it comes to depression, first of all, we need to understand it's natural, but we want to rebound quickly. Yeah. If you don't rebound, depression is an issue. Yeah. That's when it becomes an issue. Because if you don't rebound, that means it bogs you down. Yes. Because if it bogs you down, then you worsen the situation. Because if you get bogged down, you don't participate in the descending of the stomach chi. You don't work with the building of the fuel that is generated through that process, which then builds the feel-good hormones. So it's a downward spiral. Getting bogged down is a downward spiral. So we need to prevent getting bogged down. So my approach to depression is don't treat the depression, treat the obstruction.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, treat the obstruction. You treat the blockage. Yes, okay, don't get bogged down. You got to keep moving, Yeah. And so the immediate stage of the depression is essential in order to go within to identify what do I need to look at. Yeah. Okay, so situation for that is, for example, as a therapist, as a healer, or someone who is involved with helping lots of people, for them to have depression on a regular basis is common. It's impossible to be a therapist and not going through depression. Yeah. Because you're so focused on other people's change. You take on all kind of energies. You just deal so much with other people.
You get depleted in your own energy.
Yeah, you're bringing out you're using a lot of your heart fire, because you need to, first of all, you need to understand the situation that the client is presenting. Next thing is you're using a heart fire to uplift the person. So you're giving away the chi that is responsible for serotonin development. You're giving away all that all the time. So obviously the client leaves and feels good. You have given away 10 grams of serotonin. Yeah. And so what happens is after about 4 days in therapy, working with the therapist, it's very, very, very common to suddenly crash. Yeah. So obviously you got to look at what profession do you do? What is the nature of your work? What do you do as a living? Because whatever you do may lead to the exhaustion of heart fire, of the heart sheet, the fire in the heart.
Yeah. It's definitely going to have an impact, and you've got to balance that. Yeah.
So if you give out lots, you're giving away lots of that substance that will develop a serotonin.
Yeah. So you've got to generate more yourself.
Yeah. So certain professions are more prone to depression than other. If you got a really ignorant job where you don't care about other people, you have a lesser chance to deplete your heart fire, but then you also don't have the opportunity to build your heart fire because you're not compassionate. So that also works against you.
Absolutely. Everything's got its good.
So we can't be rude and ignorant, and we can't be assholes all day in order to prevent getting depressed. That doesn't work either.
Yeah.
So first of all, we need to understand what profession are you in. If you give lots of your heart fire, that means you need more time to rebuild it. Yes. Yeah. So we have lots of cases, and I can talk ages on that, where therapists finished off on antidepressants. Yes, psychologists in particular, counselors, who then after a few years of working like that, go, give, suddenly crash. And then I go to the doctor. The doctor puts them on antidepressants. So what happens now is the serotonin development via the chemical brings the person back on the previous lifestyle. Now they can go and give again. And then eventually the whole system crashes. Yeah. So first of all, we need to understand that depending on what you do in your life, you need a certain time to rebuild that again. That's crucial. Yeah. So that's obviously when you give to people, that means you need to bring it back in again. That's like very important. So that's obviously where the lifestyle once again comes into, and this is where meditation and chi practices come into.
Yeah.
So with a therapist, if you give lots, you need to meditate. There's no way out of it.
You need to give yourself a lot.
You have to bring it.
Yeah.
I like it. In my line of work, I'm very much involved with giving, bring chi in, but I also need a certain amount of time every day to bring it back in again by Tai Chi and meditation.
Yep.
And especially in the evening when the meditation comes in, I can feel the whole universe, the energy goes back in again and fills my bucket. Yeah. Like let it come in, or the whole body needs to get back to the vibrancy of the chi coming to the body. Yeah. So you can't be a person that gives lots without having the technique how to receive back. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a universal law, isn't it? It's like it's got to be give and receive. Can't be one way.
Yeah, it's absolutely crucial. So you need to know how to have breakfast. You need to have lunch. You need to know how to have good dinner and have good wine. And you need to know how to breathe in cosmic chi to build your bucket again. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Hey, so on that, I'll put your links in the chat box with where people can find your books as well, because particularly the Perfect Day Plan, Clock on the Health. I think you've got your porridge recipe in your books, and there's heaps of great tips in there on how to do this, and it changed our life, particularly having a little one. We have become much more focused on mealtime and that regularity and how we're living our life. And so to us, that's like that. These are the keys to quality of life.
Yeah.
So definitely check that out, everyone. There is also, if you are interested in how the Redox impacts lifestyle and vitality and health, and we've talked a lot about that more in previous interviews. There'll be a masterclass on at 12 o'clock today in about an hour. That's more on cellular nutrition, but it talked a little bit about the Redox as well. So the links are in there for the lifestylemedicine.com, jostsauer.com, and also where you can register for that masterclass. Had a couple of questions, Jost, around tackling antidepressant withdrawal from Chinese medicine, and or if you are suffering from depression, anxiety, at what point should you be looking at medication as well?
I mean, meditation is like one of the most important things in life. If someone asks me what's the most important medicine, I'll say meditation. But meditation needs to be learned, and it's not something we can just sit there and just like calm the mind. It will not work like that. In Chinese medicine, meditation, you meditate while you're your body. You have to work with your body first. So you need to understand how to get the energy down into your gut, into your hip, and then let your awareness sink in. And while it sinks into your body, automatically that takes care of your thoughts. Yeah. So I tell everyone the best step towards meditation is get a physical practice. Like that 15-minute workout, a body weight routine that's on my website. That is a really good preparation for meditation. Yeah, because if you get the energy moving in your hip and your glutes, your thoughts can be taken care of. Yeah. And so the next thing I'm telling everyone, obviously, is trying to get, if you want to get meditation, do TM, Transcendental Meditation.
Mm-hmm.
It's Transcendental Meditation you find on Google, and there will be headquarters everywhere. There will be teachers everywhere. Transcendental Meditation, one of the most powerful meditation known to man. It's like an instant, it's like you plug your body into the cosmic universe immediately, and you just receive so much chi. It's so much joy. It's pure sheer bliss. Yeah. And most people have a misperception of meditation. They always think like, oh, I can't meditate. It's like saying, oh, I can't have sex. Meditation and sex are very similar. As you get sexually aroused, what happens? Your thoughts are taken care of, and you become the experience. And as you become the experience, you don't start thinking. In the end, it's just pure spontaneous experience, awareness of yourself. And that moves into meditation. So sex is a good way to understand what meditation is about.
It's karma yoga, right? It's purely in the moment.
So meditation is a blissful experience. So because blissful means the chi, the universe, the energy is going into the body and it fills your bucket. Yes, but it needs the body to be trained for that. Yes, and so body training is essential, or what we call mindfulness in Western world in that regard is essential for the meditation to occur. But once you have the body in tune and all the meridians are opened up, you will receive lots of cosmic chi. And the Maharishi, one of the big yogis of the Vedas, which goes back 6,000 years ago, he developed universities all over the world, and there are teachers, TM teachers all over the world. And I would recommend, look, if you want to experience real meditation, get into TM. Yeah. And from then on, once you are opened up, once you experience that bliss, that connection, then you can start working with it and move it into different areas. Yeah.
Yeah.
And another area, obviously very important to regulate the stomach chi, that's Tai Chi. Tai Chi is one of the most powerful medicines to treat depression.
Yep.
I've
just
seen
on that, like there's a question, and my personal experience is Qigong and Tai Chi in the morning is better than the afternoon. What would you suggest? Like some people find it hard to do it in the morning, but I find it's most effective in the morning. What do you think? And art by exercise.
like the idea is to start the day with something that is very difficult.
Yeah, right. Then it gets easier for the rest of the day, eh? Is that
If it's easy, it's not effective. Yes, it is not effective. That means you're not doing much. Yeah, and
Yep.
Tai Chi is a very complex art. It's very difficult. Yeah, and very difficult to learn. So the mornings is designed to move the chi through the meridians. That's the purpose of the morning, because if you move the chi through the meridians, you detox everything. You free the body of all that clutter.
Yeah.
That means then if you move into breakfast time, stomach chi can descend and can do its work. And now, because the meridians have been all opened up, it can move the chi to the heart and then can develop lots and lots of happy chi. Yes?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never met anyone, look, I've been doing this for a long time now, Tai Chi I've been doing for 35 years. And I met so many Tai Chi groups all over the world. I have never met an unhappy Tai Chi practitioner.
Yeah. That's an awesome point.
They are all like children, like they're 80 years of age, 85, 75. They're all like little children and playful. That's why we call it play Tai Chi. But of
That's
course,
why they call it what?
Play Tai Chi.
Play Tai Chi. Okay, cool.
Playful. That's what we say. Play. We play Tai Chi. It takes you back. It takes you back into playing. When you see two dogs meeting each other, what do? They play fighting.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
When kids meet each other, they play fighting, and that's what Tai Chi is about. We play with each other. Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, in the morning, it's difficult, but that's exactly what we want. We want to have it difficult, because that means we move towards something. The mornings is the difficult part to get it right, but then the stomach gives the reward. I have arrived. And then at lunchtime, you feel like, oh, it shifts into small intestine. By 3:30, you feel really good. You feel, wow, I feel good. And then comes 5 o'clock, kidney time. The energy comes in the kidney. Kidney is about balancing yin and yang. And when you go into meditation, because the meridians all opened up throughout the day, it's just like a bucket load of chi just pours into your body, and you just sit there for 10 minutes and you go, whoa. You're in such a high, such a bliss. And it's just like, wow, you feel so good. And yeah, you don't need anything because you're already there. Yeah. So obviously that's why you become independent. Of course you can have a glass of wine afterwards, but you don't need the wine. Of course you like to have a pizza, but you don't need the pizza. Of course you like a piece of cake, but you don't need the cake because you're already high.
Yeah. You can appreciate it without eating it.
You're already high. So if you follow that through, every day will be like this, every day. That's why I called the first book, The Perfect Day Plan. Yeah.
I popped a link in there. After some of our previous calls, you've recommended a Tai Chi course on Udemy.
Yeah, that's a good course. Very good course.
It's only $36 or something. So that's I put the link in there today. So we've had some people asking about that. I put a link in for transcendental meditation as well.
Yes.
So make sure you save that chat if you want to grab those links, or copy and paste it out of there. There are a couple other questions just about chi cycle, and I think this is why it is really important for people. I know I keep harping on about Jost's books, but they really were life-changing for me, and I think they really are life-changing for anyone, because I didn't see anyone else teach this stuff. You know, I've been a jack of all trades, studied a lot of different things, and I can tell you Jost is the master on this lifestyle meditation stuff. Getting the chi to flow in the right organs at the right time of the day is critical to health and well-being. And I haven't seen a better resource than Jost's book. So we've had questions in there about, you know, eating later in the day and having smoothies at night and stuff like that. But if you follow the books, the cycle of the books, that is one of the most cheapest, cost-effective, and most impactful ways to improve your health and well-being. So, you know, it's nuts not to do that. So any other final words? I know we've had some questions about medication as well, and we're not physicians here. We're not doctors. We're not your doctor if you're in the audience. So, you know, you do have to work with your doctors for the legal side of like medication and what you want to do with changing it. But it does come down to your personal responsibility. How are you going to decide how you live your life? And what we've discussed today, and Jost is offering you this wisdom of, you can change your lifestyle, and that will change everything. It will change your serotonin. It will change your happiness, your depression, your anxiety, whatever you're dealing with. Lifestyle is the foundation of your health and well-being. So ultimately, if you put your focus on that and get that right, everything else is going to be easier. And where you need it, get professional help. You know, Jost is a great practitioner. There's lots of great practitioners in the communities that we're in. Yeah, get the resources you need. So anything else you want to wrap up with, Jost? Thank you so much for your time today. It's always been amazing. I learned the big one. You don't get depressed after a great meal with great people. So true. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it all comes down to, like, depression is a natural part of life, but you want to it's the time to rebound. That's what we need to concentrate on, not on depression. How long does it take you to rebound? Don't focus on depression. You can't say, I've got a depression. No. It's about how long does it take you to rebound? How long does it take you to get back on track? And that's stomach G. So it goes through the stomach, and that's happiness also goes through the stomach. So.
I love it. Nicole used to say that when we first met. Yeah. Happiness through my stomach. I used to love my food. She's a great cook. And I want to give a quick plug here for Thermomix. We do our porridge in the morning in Thermomix, and it is cool because you can set it on. It can be slowly cooking, and you can be doing something else, and it won't burn. An alarm goes off when it's finished. Awesome piece of kitchen technology, in my opinion. We love our Thermomix porridge in the morning. And also, people said, should they do their qigong before or after meditation? I would imagine before meditation is better, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
absolutely. We always start the day with cleansing the body first, then the qigong, and then we move into the meditation with this. Yes.
Yeah. That is brilliant. Well, thank you everyone for being part of the audience today, and I really appreciate everyone's questions and comments today. It's much more fun when we have a lot of feedback going on. I had questions in the Q&A section, in the chat box, and on the Facebook, so it was all happening. And we'll come back next week with another interesting topic, and just continue to share this information. Well, you did talk about something today you were going to talk about. What was that?
Arthritis is a major issue.
Yeah, arthritis and inflammation. And coming into winter, that's going to be a lot more of a challenge for people as well, and particularly if they've been sedentary during this period, right? So, okay, great. Well, thank you, Jost. Really appreciate your wisdom. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks, everyone, for coming today.
See you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.